Hi, in this lesson, you're going to learn about user input in C++. You use cout to print messages onto the screen for users, but what if you want to read information back in from the user? To do this, you're going to get input from the user using one of our read functions and assigning that value to a variable. User input in C++ programs will utilize three functions from our util library: readLine, readInt, and readDouble. Notice that each of these has the word prompt inside the parentheses. This signifies that we can pass the command a prompt in the form of a string to ask the user. ReadLine is used to read an entire line, whether it is one word or a long sentence. It can also be used to read numbers, but the numbers will end up being stored as a string, not as an int or a double. Similarly, readInt is used to read an integer, and readDouble is used to read a double value. Both readInt and readDouble have additional options that can be used with them. In both cases, you can add a reprompt prompt, which will display an alternate message if the user doesn't enter the proper integer or double. In addition, you can specify a minimum and a maximum value that's acceptable. If the user enters a value outside of that range, it will reprompt them. Let's take a look at these. Notice how specifying extra information allows the program to automatically ask the user for a new value when they enter a value that's outside of a range. It now uses the reprompt to send them that second question instead of using the first question over. Now, each of those phrases are optional. You can include a min and a max if you want, or you can leave those off. And likewise, you can include a reprompt or leave that off. So let's go ahead and take a look at this in the editor. Alright, so let's take a look at how these values work. And we're going to look at this using our readInt, but they work very similar whether it's a readDouble or readLine, etc. So if I enter a number in, it stores that number in that num1 variable, and then I can print it out. Now if I want to add a reprompt, so let's say, for example, if I run right now and I try to enter a letter, it's going to say, nope, that's not a number. But if I want to actually have something that says, okay, that's not a number, I can say, make sure it is a number. Okay, and that's going to be my reprompt. So now the first time it asks me, please enter a number. If I enter something different than a number, then it gives me that reprompt there. That's how that works. Now again, if I want to specify a range, so I want a number between 1 and 5, I can do that by specifying those numbers there. Now here, if I enter a number outside that range, or if I enter a number or something that's not a number, it gives me that same reprompt. So there, if I enter something not a number, it still gives me that same reprompt. So I don't have a reprompt that can kind of decide why it's reprompting, but it does give me that value. And again, the same thing works if I'm using doubles or anything like that. Here I just have to change that to readDouble. And now, once again, I'll get the same thing working. So if I enter a 4, it's happy. If I enter a 9, it's not so happy. Same thing if I enter a letter, and then I'm good. All right, so go ahead and explore on your own.